Hey guys, welcome to Daddicated. This is vlog episode 2. And in this video, I want to tell you how I got caught selling counterfeit cell phone cases on eBay. If you stick around, I'll have that story at the end. But first, I want to start with a book recommendation. So for the past couple of years, I've been setting goals to read an X number of books. So like this year, I'm trying to read 12 books, one book per month. Anyway, and I recently finished a book called Work Energy. It's a self-improvement, productivity type of book based on basically the work energy that drives us to complete our goals. And the author that writes this book, he started off as an internet entrepreneur. He started with a blog, and he kind of grew his business. And right now he has a business called Income School, and that's kind of how I found him, where they teach people how to do niche websites, blog websites, and make money with them. Anyway, long story short, he's got a lot of stories in there about their beginnings and just in general. It was very interesting to listen to. I definitely enjoyed it. I'll have the links to the book in the description below if you guys are interested in reading it. I used Audible, so if you want to check out Audible too, it's great. I drive a lot, so I get to listen to books if I have the time. Anyway, the other thing I recently watched was called Social Dilemma. It's a documentary about social media platforms. It's basically a bunch of executives that used to work. Some of them helped develop some of these platforms, and it talks about how a lot of these social media apps affect us. And what was interesting that I didn't know is that a lot of these programmers that work for these platforms, they actually have to go through a psychology class. Psychology? Yeah, I think it's psychology. Anyway, where they learn about how our human mind works, which something your general public probably is not aware of. And they basically use that to program their algorithms and machine learning to where it almost sounds like that, these platforms know more about us than we know about ourselves, which is kind of scary if you think about. And as a result, why a lot of us are addicted to a certain level with these platforms. So anyway, especially if you have kids that are getting a little bit older, I recommend you watching that. It's called Social Dilemma. I believe it's on Netflix, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere else. Anyway, if you made it this far, here goes my eBay story. About 6-7 years ago, I think it was still iPhone 5 or 4 or 6, I had this idea of buying cell phone cases. And this is before it was a common thing where people bought stuff from Alibaba and sold online, or like eBay or Amazon, before it became really popular. But anyway, I had this idea of buying cell phone cases and selling them, but for like 2-3 years I kind of didn't pull the trigger, and just kind of, I guess I was scared to lose my money because it's some Chinese company that I would be dealing with. And anyway, so I think it was early 2017, I decided to finally pull the trigger, and I spent about $500 of my money and bought some cell phone cases. But what I ended up doing was, the company I was working with, or the company that I found, they were branded. They were brand cases, and without realizing, I guess I didn't really think about what I was doing, but I knew that this brand sold really well on eBay. I think it was like for $20 a case. At a store, this brand sold at like $40 a case. So I was like, hey, and here I can buy these cases for like think it was like anywhere from $3 to $5, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I bought about 100 cases, three or four different sizes and colors, or 2 different sizes and like 4 different colors. So like I think I had 8 or 10 variations of these cell phone cases, and so I got them with that brand, and I started selling them without thinking that, what I'm doing is illegal or it's wrong or whatever. It just didn't occur to me that I can get in trouble for this. Anyway, so they started selling pretty well. I would sell, 1, 2, 3, sometimes 5 in a day. And I was getting excited, and I was telling my wife about it. I was like, hey, look, this is such a cool thing. And she actually was upset with me because I didn't tell her that I bought these cases when I first spent the $500. And then I told her after I did it, so she kind of got upset that, I kept the secret at first. But anyway, she got over it. Long story short, I told her, I was telling her that they were selling it. She was like, well, what's so special about these? So I was like, well, what's so special about Michael Kors purses? I'm like, it's a brand, I guess. She's like, well, are they real? I'm like, I doubt it, because it's some Chinese company I found online. So I highly doubt that they're authentic or real. And she's like, well, that's illegal. And I was like, no, I didn't, I guess. I was like, well, all these other people are doing it. Anyway, so I was like, oh, great. So the next day I'm like thinking, man, what am I going to do? I want to get at least my money back before I stop. So I decided, all right, I'm just going to sell whatever I have, and then I won't buy anymore, and part my ways. And the next day, sure enough, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, I am checking I'm on the computer, I don't know what I was doing, and all of a sudden my phone goes off, and I get like the 8 sales that I have, or 10 sales, or whatever, how many cases I had, they get all sold. And I was like, well, this is weird. One person bought all my cases, one of each. This is very suspicious. So right away I started freaking out a little bit. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, let me see who bought it. So I Google the person's name who bought it. And sure enough, his LinkedIn profile comes up, and this person works at this brand as their like trade compliance, like fraud detection type of, I don't remember exactly his title, but basically right away I knew what he was up to, and I knew what was going to happen next, kind of, which I started freaking out. I'm like, man, do I delete my eBay? Do I shut everything down? But then I was like, well, eBay has all my information, so if they really wanted to go after me, they can. It's got everything, so I can't just like disappear. So I was like, all right, well, at this point, especially the day before we talked about it and I realized what I was doing was wrong, at this point I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And so I decided to confess. I basically found the guy's email and emailed him like, hey, my name is such and such, you just purchased all these cases, and I basically told them the conversation me and my wife had the night before, and told them that I didn't realize what I was doing was wrong, and blah blah blah. I don't remember exactly what else I said, but so he responds to me, I think the next day or something, and basically sends me a list where as long as I'm willing to comply with their requirements, they're not going to press charges or not going to prosecute me or anything like that. So at that point, I was a little relieved, because I was like, sure, I'll do whatever you guys need me to do. So they basically sent me like a list of 5 or 6 items. I had to sign a cease and desist letter. I had to had to basically give him all my correspondence with the supplier that I've worked with that got me these cases. I had to give him a list of all the people I sold the cases to. I basically canceled all my active orders that I didn't ship out yet, including his. I basically emailed most of the people that I sold the case, told them what was happening, offered a refund if they were still interested, and basically told the guy, oh, and I had to ship all my current inventory to them. So at this point I was like, you know what, I'll cut my losses. I think I was still like $300 in the hole, but hey, beats going to, you know, getting in much more trouble than over $300. But it definitely freaked me out, and honestly I think it was just by grace of God that, you know, something, the Holy Spirit prompted me to look this guy up, and I right away sensed that something was wrong. So it was definitely quite an experience. I know my wife, she was freaking out when I told her, which didn't help my own freaking out. So yeah, it was quite an experience, I would say. Definitely learned a thing or two in that process. But anyway, if you stuck this far, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of my story, or if you have any other book recommendations. If you like to listen or read books, feel free to leave me a recommendation in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.